हमारे साथ हैं देव विरदी जी, जो उन्हीं इलाकों में रहते हैं, उनके बीच में काम करते हैं। देव जी हिंदी बहुत बोल नहीं पाते, लेकिन हिंदी समझते हैं, तो मैं सवाल हिंदी में पूछूंगा, जवाब ये जिस भाषा में चाहे दे सकते हैं। देव जी, यहाँ के जो मूल निवासी हैं उनके बारे में बताइए हमें, क्योंकि एक जी
The indigenous people of Canada have been here forever.
Okay.
They are the original inhabitants before Western people came into the community, and they're following their culture, their tradition, and yeah.
Yes. Okay. वो उनको यहाँ की जो गवर्नमेंट है क्या क्या उनको सुविधाएं देती हैं?
So the indigenous people are represented by the federal government, and the government is holding the money practically in trust for the indigenous people, the land, the natural resources, trees, forestry, mining, etc. It still is owned by the indigenous people. They have not given up that right to the government. So they are holding that in trust. So in return, what the government has done, they have made reservations.
In which sectors?
It is all across the country.
Okay.
In Canada, there are 204 reservations or Indian bands.
Okay.
A group of indigenous people living are called a band. Yeah.
Okay, called band.
Yeah.
And what can you tell me about their cultures, their following?
So, with their culture, it's no different than any other culture. Their respect for the elders, the family gathering.
Culture means social culture, musical culture. Everyone has their own culture, actually.
Right. So they have their culture as well. They have they play drums. They dance, and they look after the Mother Earth in terms of make sure that the environment, they care for the environment for future generations to enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they have their own language, or Canadian language is all for them who is living here?
So there's multiple languages. The language for the indigenous people that I work with is called Dekel. There are a few people that still speak the same language.
Okay.
And as the generations are going forward, it's the same thing with me. My Hindi is not very good. And
लेकिन ये पंजाब से हैं बहुत पहले.
Yeah. So Punjabi भी घड़ी ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ. So it's the same thing that is happening with their culture as well. And everyone speaks English because as in Canada.
Okay. And where they live, all over Canada, or they have their own special areas there is living?
So they are all across Canada, and in our area, from the history, every family was given an area for hunting and fishing.
Okay.
And so in that area, they can they gather food, hunt, etc. So from the family, they have one head holder of the family that provides guidance, and that tradition it is still active today.
You told me that you are working with them.
Right.
Where do you live here in Canada, and which type of work you are doing with them?
So I live in Fort St. James, BC. It's about close to 1,000 kilometers from here.
Oh, from Surrey.
From Surrey.
Surrey, Vancouver, we can say.
Yeah, so it's about 12-hour drive. And the community I work with is called Benche. So it's about 30-minute drive from Fort St. James. It's on a beautiful lake, mountain, lots of trees. So the work what I do is my job is to help the community move forward to become self-sustainable.
Okay.
So that's in terms of building housing, building the infrastructure, helping them with the jobs, and also creating business opportunities for them.
Okay. You know about Indian tribal people? You heard about them?
I have heard.
Okay.
Yes.
So in India, tribal
Yeah.
people have their own culture, their own costumes, and all things. Their own rituals.
Right.
Is that यहाँ भी है वो यहाँ के जो जो मूल निवासी हैं उनके साथ जो इंडिजीनियस हैं उनके साथ जैसे ट्राइबल्स को हम इंडिया में देख के पहचान जाते हैं कहीं कहीं कि हाँ ये ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी को बिलोंग करते हैं.
Yeah. So here everyone is basically dresses as modern as we are, but their traditional headgear, clothing, which is made out of animal skin, they still have that.
Okay. They still have that.
They still have that.
How much people? What is the population? What are the population?
So in our indigenous community, there are 224 people, and
224 just.
in that indigenous band. In our area, there are 4 bands.
Bands means a group of people.
A group of people. Yeah. So every group of people, they have their own hunting territories, their fishing territories, and so when you combine all the territories, there's 204 bands all across Canada. They live.
224. 224 in all over Canada.
Yeah.
And we talk about their population.
Oh, sorry, 204.
204.
So their population, actually, that's a
Around.
That's a good question. It's probably about 2 million, I would say.
And what is the whole population of Canada?
Right now, I think it's probably
Beside Asians and
besides-
others,
I
their
think-
own population.
I think Canadian population about 34 million.
34 million.
Yeah.
And they are 2 million.
I have to double check on all the facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, go
one of the things that had happened is with the history, some of the indigenous people, when the woman married a non-indigenous, a white person, they had lost their status as an indigenous,
Okay.
and so that's where some of the numbers then started falling down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. उनकी लड़कियां किसी और से शादी कर लेती हैं तो फिर वो इंडिजिनस नहीं रहती.
Right. So it used to be like that before. So then in the 1980s, the government changed that policy that if an indigenous lady, even though they marry someone else, they are still classified as indigenous.
Okay.
The biggest thing is when they had lost their status as indigenous, they had also lost the benefits of indigenous.
Okay. तो क्या वो शहरों में आ रहे हैं लोगों के बीच में रह रहे हैं या फिर अपने बैंड तक सिमटे हुए हैं अपने अपने इलाकों में?
Yeah. They are living in the cities all over. One of the biggest challenge has been is not enough housing. So if there's no housing in the community, they go to the other communities to live.
And what about their education rate, their financial conditions,
They are
and their health conditions?
Yeah, there are many challenges that they are facing with health, education as well. So the government is helping them. For education, government pays fully for tuition fee, for living expenses. The government is also helping them by making houses for them.
Yes. What is the literacy rate of these people?
Literacy,
Do you aware?
Because of some of the challenges that they're having with their family structure as well. Even though the government is encouraging people to go to education, there are not enough that are taking that opportunity.
Okay, government are encouraging, but they do not aware about their rights and about we need education.
The government is trying to help, and what has happened is when they're involved in a certain society, either one of the biggest issue has been is the broken family structure. So when you go into the history, when the kids were little, they were not raised with the family. They were given to another families, adopted or someone else to look after. So their family structure has broken.
Okay.
The other challenges has been with the drug and alcohol. So that was a very high concern.
Okay. This is the problem.
That is a problem. So one of the things that is happening right now, before where the family and children was managed by the government, in our band, we're working to have that control to the community itself. They will decide how to raise families and children. And so what has happened over the past, from the history, they're now trying to change so that they can start progressing.
Okay, last question. What is your final comment about this society?
About the indigenous society?
Yes.
So I would say that
you work with them, you live around them.
Yeah.
So what did you felt and what your observation about them?
So they do need help, and they want to move forward. One of the things what we have done in our community, where unemployment was high, many were receiving social assistance or welfare. We have turned that around by getting them jobs. And that seems to be the pattern. What I'm seeing in many of the indigenous people, they're getting more and more into businesses to help them move forward.
Okay, thank you देव, thank you so much. आपने यहाँ के मूल निवासियों के बारे में तमाम जानकारियाँ साझा की. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
देखते रहिए दलित दस्तक. जय भीम.